Welcome to the Lifelong Rivals Sports Podcast. I'm Zach Kaufman, here with Ryan D'Amico.
What's up? First off, I just want to throw out there, okay, so I know I sound like I've probably, been a smoker for the last 60 years, but I just lost my voice 2 days ago, from obviously being at the Eagles game. So bear with me through the show. It's not going to be a terribly long show tonight. I'm just going to recap the two championship games and maybe some other, random things here and there. But just bear with me. I know I sound kind of weird. Don't hold it against me. But I'm doing great. Birds are going to the Super Bowl, Zach. I'm ecstatic about it. Pretty cool that the first year we're doing this podcast, one of our teams goes to the Super Bowl. That makes it really interesting and a little more enjoyable,
Yeah, definitely. It makes it a unique experience there. That is what ended up happening. The first year we came up with this and put it together. Rare Eagles Super Bowl appearance.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is rare. And it's been 14 years since the last time they went, back in 2004, 2005 season. So,
That's crazy. 14 years. I didn't even think it was that long. I remember being in high school during it.
We were freshmen in high school the last time they went to the Super Bowl. Yep. Very crazy. Seems like yesterday. At least to me it does. And I remember it. I remember that day vividly. So I hope this one ends a little bit better than the last one. But we'll obviously talk about that in the Super Bowl in the shows to come. I'm really looking forward to next week's show. Just a little teaser for the listeners. We're going to have our NFL not so recap show, I guess you could say. We'll look back at the divisions and, what predictions we had right, what predictions we had wrong, and so on and so forth. And then obviously we'll preview the Super Bowl. So next week's show should be pretty fun too, Zach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for that as well, where we won't have any games. We'll have all that to go over, look back on some of those things that we've talked about throughout the season, and look forward on some of the teams that aren't in the Super Bowl and what they can expect going forward. So we'll jump directly into the first game of this past weekend, which was the AFC Championship game between the Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Patriots started off the scoring, got a field goal early, and the Jaguars' first scoring drive, my biggest note from that is, who is Corey Grant? He kept coming up with big plays for him. He had a 20-yard reception and then a 24-yard reception. I looked it up. Throughout the 16 games of the full NFL season, he had 3 catches for 41 yards. Wow. In this game alone, he had 3 catches for 59. This specific drive, he had 44 yards of receptions, more than he had every single game of the entire season combined. So fascinating to see a name that's kind of lower on the depth chart there. He's listed as the 3rd or 4th running back and got some significant action early on, was a big contributor as they went down the field, and finished the drive with a Mercedes Lewis touchdown to take the lead at 7-3. So that was in the second quarter, and they came back not too long after that with Grant had another 15-yard reception, which is his 3rd of the game. He was very active early. And then Leonard Fournette just kind of bullied his way the rest of the way. They kept feeding him the rock. He pounded into the end zone at the end for a 4-yard touchdown to go up 14-3. And I know we talked about it last week when we talked about going into this game. That's kind of what Jacksonville needed to do to build up a lead with their team, to get that early lead with a 14-3 advantage at that point, where they didn't have to rely as much on Blake Bortles. They could rely more on the running game and their dominant defense to that point. So they started out exactly where they wanted to be. I know you were at the Eagles game at that point. Did you get to catch much of this first half here?
I didn't see any of the first half. I didn't see 1 minute of the first half. Was just kind of keeping up with it, via phones. The people that I went to the game with, we were kind of, keeping each other informed. And they got out 14-3, and it was like damn, I didn't see that happening at all. I thought they'd put up a fight, but I did not see them jumping up 14-3. But I mean, that was really impressive. But you'll get to, Patriots do what the Patriots do. That drive before the half was huge. Enormous.
Yeah, but before we even got to that point, we had the Patriots down 14-3 really started going for Gronk. They took a long shot to him. He had a 27-yard catch. They took another long shot for him that was overthrown. And that was a play that ended up resulting in him having a concussion, leaving the game, and not returning. So that drive, the Patriots did some good things. It ended in a sack. Dante Fowler sacking Tom Brady there, and the Patriots ended up having to punt. The next drive, Keenan Cole had a huge gain on that drive. A big first down catch they had after that by Mercedes Lewis, but that one was called back, and then that drive resulted in a punt for them. So it was an interesting scenario because they punted it instead of letting the time run out to the 2-minute warning. So they gave the Patriots almost a free timeout at that point. So a little bit questionable game management. And the Patriots, they were able to take advantage just before the half from that point. And also, it made it annoying as a viewer because they punted it, they go to commercial, they come back, they run one play, hit the 2-minute warning, go to commercial again. So it was like sandwiched between two commercials. One play is all we saw, which was, I think, a 1-yard gain or a 0-yard gain by Dion Lewis. They just fed him up the middle. Just that kind of stuff's so annoying.
Very, very annoying. The commercial, one-play commercial. You see a lot on kickoffs in the NFL, like touchdown commercial, kickoff commercial. Like, dude, God, that's brutal.
Definitely unfortunate there. It kind of kills the flow of the game at that stage.
It really does kill it. I mean, and especially, and real quick, just to get back to that previous Jacksonville drive, the Mercedes Lewis first down, I mean, that would have been a huge play. I mean, they're probably going to get points out of that drive. You would expect at least have a attempt for a long field goal where he made a 54-yarder in this game. So, and the penalty was a delay of game that you couldn't even hear because of the crowd and whatnot. And it was kind of a late whistle to begin with. So a real kind of interesting situation there.
Yeah. And I was a little bit early when I brought up the Gronk injury earlier. It didn't happen on that previous possession, but it happened here inside the 2-minute warning where he dropped the pass, he was hit. Seeing it live, I thought it was a terrible, terrible call. I didn't think it should have been a penalty at all. Seeing the replay, you could definitely see the helmet contact on that, which looked a lot worse. So it was a close call, but I felt like that was definitely one that was the right call. And the Patriots kind of relied on that drive. They had another pass interference called after that on Brandon Cooks, and he was.
What did you think about that call? That was a pretty interesting call.
Yeah, I just
like he was kind of like I think what was it? It was Boye, wasn't it? That was in coverage.
Yeah.
I thought Boye was just kind of running the route with him. Didn't like physically push him out of bounds. The ball was overthrown. I would have been okay with a no call there. Yeah,
that was one I felt like could have more so gone either way. I know I saw a lot of people tweeting about it, about the refs and the Patriots and things like that. I didn't think it was real blatant like that or anything to that effect. It was a very close call. I felt like it definitely could have gone either way. And
would you have called it pass interference? When you saw it live, did you go, okay, that's a penalty, or did you go, oh, yeah, I don't?
When I saw it live, I thought it was. I thought
okay, so you would have called it. So you would have called pass interference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt
that's fine.
Yeah, I felt like it definitely prevented him from making a move on the ball there and being able to make the catch. But that set them up well. Then they had a Brandon Cooks catch after that brought him to the 1 yard line. And then James White finished it with a touchdown run with 55 seconds left there. Jacksonville did add two timeouts at that point, but they decided to just kneel it going in the half 14-10 with that 4-point lead at that stage.
And if you're the Jaguars there, you played such a good first half, and you look up at the scoreboard and you only see you're up 4. That had to feel like a little bit of a punch to the gut for him.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, it was huge for him getting up there by 11 points with those 2 touchdowns early, but to give up that touchdown within the last minute, that definitely hurts them, and definitely comes back towards the end in such a close game. So after the half, the Jacksonville Jaguars they put a decent drive together, ended in a great Josh Lambo field goal from 54 yards out. Very, very impressive kick to be able to hit that. And then once New England gets the ball back, this started quite a bit of Brandon Cooks dropping it becoming a trend, where he had two clear drops on this drive here that led to the Patriots punting. He was a guy I felt like should have had a bigger day. He led this game in receiving yards with 100, but he had two bad drops on this one. The first one was a long shot that in double coverage, but it went right through his hands, even bounced off his chest there and went incomplete. If he just kept his hands a little closer to his body, that was one that seemed like it could have been easily caught for a long gain. And then they had another play action one to him that he dropped as well. So they ended up not being able to continue the drive and punted it. That kind of led to both teams trading punts for a little bit. And then Jacksonville started with a trick play. So they got their flea flicker that went to the tight end there for a gain. Kind of didn't look like that's what was planned. He was in blocking and then just kind of released late, and they hit him for the first down at that point. So that was our first trick play we really got a piece of, which is always exciting to see in the playoffs. We've got quite a few unique plays throughout both of these games on Sunday. Now, one of the things I didn't like at this point, with the score 20-10 after Jacksonville got another field goal, Tony Romo was saying that this was because it was in the fourth quarter at this point. The Jaguars just went up 20-10. They've got a 10-point lead, and I love Tony Romo. I loved him as an announcer, but he was saying this was as daunting as the Patriots Super Bowl comeback last year against Atlanta, which I felt like was not close at all. This was not the offense that Atlanta had. It just didn't feel like the same team. It felt like the Patriots were still very much in it, even down by 10, even when they were down by a little bit more earlier in the game. And I never felt like Jacksonville was able to truly put them away in this game, and they were able to hang around. And when you let someone great like Tom Brady hang around, he's going to make plays. You see that in every sport.
I knew they were going to come back. Just following along, like at the stadium with the score on the scoreboard and on my phone and everything, like seeing Jacksonville not being able to deliver that knockout shot, and when they were up by, what did they get? They ended up going up by 11 at one point in the second half, and I'm thinking to myself, New England's going to score 14 unanswered and win 24-20. We've seen it. How many times have we seen it?
Yeah, it's true.
We've seen it. Look back to the Super Bowl. Look back to that game. You look back to numerous games where you think this team's done, and they just put together effortless drives that it's like, well, where was this the whole game? It kind of makes you think that way. But I knew they were going to come back. You've just seen it before. And Jacksonville not being able to step on their throat cost them. Absolutely cost them.
Yeah, definitely did. And then the next play that really stood out to me that I really want to get into here could have been a game-changing play for both teams here. So the Patriots had the ball. They did a wild play with a double pass over to Danny Amendola, who threw it back across the field to Dion Lewis. Lewis had 3 blockers ahead of him, took off for around a 20-yard gain, and it was like the right side blocker there almost ignored Miles Jack, who came in from the right side just behind him, was able to rip the ball away from Dion Lewis as he tackled him to the ground. So what was a huge play for the Patriots suddenly really changed things with the Jaguars up by 6 and now having the ball and it going the other way. Did you get a chance to see that play?
I did. I know exactly what you're talking about. That was actually it's funny you say that because I was actually watching that part live. They had it on at one of the areas of the stadium we were at, and I was watching that live when it happened. And it wasn't an outstanding play by Miles Jack. I mean, that's athletic. That's great awareness. That's, fantastic football IQ to okay, we need a big play. We're kind of struggling here. Let me not just make a tackle, but let me rip the ball out of his hands and get the ball back for my offense. I mean, that was one of the plays that I just, it's not very often you watch sports and you see plays that kind of make you go, wow, legit wow. That one made me go, wow. I was like, damn. It was almost like, did that ball was that, wow, he pulled that out. Holy shit, you know? It was one of them kind of moments.
Especially seeing it live, because I know when he came away with it, I was like, how did he even get the ball? I didn't see that at any point. I saw him make the tackle from behind, and then he's running down the sideline celebrating with the ball. And that was an incredible effort play, an incredible, like you said, an IQ play there to be able to make that. And that had the potential to be a huge turning point. Unfortunately, all it led to was another Jacksonville punt. So they weren't able to get anything out of that. And New England went back to another trick play on their next one with a flea flicker, ended up going to Philip Dorsett for a nice gain there. And then they had a great leaping catch by Danny Amendola inside the 10 to set up a touchdown by Amendola on the very next play to make it 20-17 there and bring it within 3 points. So
that was a great catch by Dorsett too. That was kind of a contested play. Oh, when I saw the replay, the highlights, that was a very big play, especially from a guy that hasn't contributed a whole lot this year. It's always nice in games like that when you can get unsung players to step up and contribute when you need them the most.
For sure. He's a former first-round pick for the Colts, just kind of been on the end of the receiver depth chart with the Patriots this year, even with having some injuries. And to make a monster play like that in the playoffs, that's huge for someone like that. And we talked about Corey Grant on the other side, having a big game here in his playoff opportunity when he gets that. It's always fun to see players like that get a chance and take advantage of that opportunity. So from that point, Jacksonville was in a tough situation there. Only up by 3. They tried. It was like they were trying to feed Leonard Fournette, but New England knew that's exactly what they're trying to do and were able to stuff them. Once Jacksonville went back to passing, it continued to be incompletions, getting broken up, and they just weren't able to get their offense going after that point. And once again, had to punt after that Patriots score.
I feel like, and I'm going to touch on it when we talk about the Eagles game, I thought this was one of the and when you look at these two games comparatively, that was one of the biggest differences in this game. As in, Jacksonville playing not to lose, and I thought playing scared in that fourth quarter, coaching scared, versus the Eagles and Doug Peterson saying, we're here to win. Fuck it. We're putting everything out there. I don't care that Nick Foles is our quarterback. We're here, and we're going to win this game. We're going to coach, play call, and play to win. And I thought in the fourth quarter of that Jacksonville game, that game was a big part of it was because of coaching, I thought.
Yeah, I'd fully agree with that. And it's Bill Belichick. He's been doing this for so long. It's almost what I'd expect here Even though the Jaguars did put up a good fight. So the next drive, another pass interference call in this drive that led to a big play for the Patriots on an underthrown long pass to Brandon Cooks. Pass interference was called on Jalen Ramsey. I thought that was a good call there. He prevented Cooks from making a move back towards the ball. But from that point, the Patriots, they were close to scoring. I thought that might be their opportunity to pull ahead or tie the game. Ended up in a punt after they had Jacksonville's defense looked really good there. They got some good pressure from Miles Jack, and they were able to break up a pass there to force the punt. Once again, Jacksonville gets it. Fournette gets stuffed. They try and pass. Eric Rowe made a great pass breakup to end that drive there and force yet another punt. It was just, I was impressed with the pressure New England was able to get on Blake Bortles there, forcing him to make some tough throws. There were quite a few plays where he was getting hit as he was trying to throw it. Towards the end of the game, it was very consistent that he was being rushed a lot, and that's what really contributed a little bit later on. But that's the point where it was a huge turning point inside the 5-minute mark. The Jaguars had to punt from their own end zone. The punt only went to the 50. Danny Amendola returned it to the 30. They're only down by 3. That put them at all of the advantage, where they know they can easily tie it with a field goal. They can work the clock to leave Jacksonville without much time left. So they start driving there. They had a big screen pass to James White for a 15-yard gain. They had a diving catch by Danny Amendola on this drive, who he just shows up and plays in big game. He's been injured throughout the season, but another big game for him here. And then another incredible catch by Amendola to finish it in the back of the end zone there to put the Patriots up 24-20.
Yeah, that was a hell of a catch. I mean, getting both feet down as he's falling to the ground, getting that last one to come down and tap inbound. I mean, that's some toe drag swag right there for sure. And one play I'm surprised you didn't mention, and I believe it was on the drive before, was I thought one of, if not the turning point in the game, was that 3rd and 18 conversion by the Patriots. I believe it was to Amendola again, if I remember correctly. And I mean, because if they don't convert that, clearly they have to punt, give Jacksonville the ball back and a chance to, get some more points or, whatever. And the fact that this Jacksonville defense that has got built up so much this year, saying how good they were, could not get off the field on a 3rd and 18. That tells you all you need to know right there. So I just thought that was another really big game, play in the game.
Yeah, very, very true. That's a good call and something I overlooked there. But the Jacksonville Jaguars still had another chance there, and they got a big catch from D.D. Westbrook to bring them inside the 40 on their next drive. Blake Bortles barely overthrew Leonard Fournette on what could have been a big play.
That was crazy, dude. Like that's probably a touchdown, though. Like, in your opinion, I think if he hits him in stride there, I think he's gone.
I think so too. He clearly had a step on the defender there. I don't think there was any safety help over top, and if there was, they weren't around him. That I'm pretty sure he gets in the end zone as well. But that after that play where they almost hit Fournette there, Patriots make a huge play with a sack and fumble. James Harrison getting in there on Blake Bortles. Jacksonville was still able to recover, but it put them at 3rd and 19 there with the 2-minute warning. So they threw a short pass from that point. Both teams did have 3 timeouts at that stage inside the 2-minute warning. So Jacksonville was still in a situation. Down by 4 was tough because they can't just kick a field goal, but they were in a great situation there, and they tried for a long pass from Blake Bortles. One of the best plays of the game there with Gilmore going up and breaking up that play after D.D. Westbrook got past the safety, for him to recover and make that play, that was huge. That was an incredibly athletic play. I was so impressed that he was able to recover and get there for that.
One of, if not their biggest offseason acquisition this year. Gilmore coming over, cornerback from the Bills, coming over from their their own division. That play was, that's one of those plays that you look at that play and you say, that's why we went out and got that guy for a play like that in a situation like that.
For sure. But Jacksonville still had a chance from that point, even with the Patriots taking possession of the ball. And they were able to stuff Dion Lewis on the first 2 carries, but 3rd and 9 is where he just took off for that 18-yard gain, and that's just what sealed it. All they needed to do was kneel after that because Jacksonville had used their timeout, 2 of their timeouts on the previous plays when they had stuffed Dion Lewis. So a tough end there. I really thought Jacksonville was going to get another chance there after those first 2 plays where they really stuffed Lewis. He didn't have any running room at all. And then to give up that big play to end it, it's been a very good season for Jacksonville. Just heartbreaking finish in such a close game against a very good team.
I'm sure that the Jacksonville Jaguars team, I'm sure the Jacksonville Jaguars organization and ownership, and I'm definitely sure the Jacksonville Jaguar fans, every single one of them thinks they should have won that game. This was a prototypical game, and you see it in sports all the time. And when you're on the losing side of it, it fucking sucks. That's all I can say. And I've been on this side of it multiple times. Is when it's what I call a box score game. Is where if you don't look at the score after the game is over, and you just look at the box score and you just look at the stats. Zach, last week I said to you, the recipe for success for the Jaguars was to win the time of possession. They did that. I said win the turnover battle. They did that. They had more total yards than the Patriots. They were 2 for 2 inside the red zone. I mean, you look at this game, you think Jacksonville wins.
Yeah.
I mean, and they don't. And that's why at the end of the day, they're the Jaguars and the Patriots are the Patriots, because the Patriots find ways to win games like this where they didn't play their best. They didn't play nowhere near their best, really, and yet they still found a way to win. Got to feel sick for the Jaguars. But like you said, good season for them. You definitely got to think they're trending upwards. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with the quarterback position going forward. But they got a good building block on the defense. Got a great running game with Leonard Fournette. Some pretty good skill players. Quarterback position is kind of the only thing holding them back.
And one of the most interesting stats I found from Jacksonville's playoff run there, in 3 playoff games, they had 0 turnovers, which is what got them to the AFC Championship game. It's what kept them in the game and gave them a great chance to win it. That's impressive to be able to do that. I felt like Blake Bortles was no superstar for sure, but he played solidly, especially early on when they were able to rely on the running game. He just wasn't capable of directing a passing comeback on his own.
And that's where you see the limit that Blake Bortles has on himself, and this team then has with having Blake Bortles as their quarterback, is in the first half, I believe he was 12 of 14 in the first half. And look, they win the first half. Second half, I think his completion percentage dropped to right around 55%, somewhere around there. And look what happened. They folded. So, I mean, you go as your quarterback goes. I know defense wins championships. I know that. But there are very few occasions where you win a championship and your quarterback is, average. I mean, you need good quarterback play, and the Jaguars didn't get it in the second half.
And it was interesting to see with them as well that I felt like they did much better this week when it came to passing. Last week, nobody had more than 3 receptions for them. They just really struggled to get almost anything going in the passing game. They did have Allen Hurns this week with 80 yards. Corey Grant, like I mentioned, with 59. They did a little bit better, but there is still a good amount to be desired here. And part of it, too, they were missing Allen Robinson, their number one receiver, for the entire season, which he's about to be a free agent here, so I don't know what will come up with that for them. But that's going to be big if they can add another receiver on the outside, someone a top tier kind of talent there.
Zach, let me ask you a question. If you not even if you were a Jacksonville fan, but just looking at this game and looking at the playoff games that the Jaguars had, do you put more blame on their defense or Blake Bortles for the reason that this team didn't get to the Super Bowl?
I definitely would say the defense. We know what Blake Bortles is.
Exactly.
This isn't a surprise. He's exactly what he's been throughout the season. It's exactly what got him a 10-6 record through the season. The defense is what was dominating throughout the year and had some big – I don't want to call it a meltdown. They were still solid there in the AFC Championship game, but they did not play like they had throughout the season and even throughout their early playoffs in this championship game.
If you would have told Doug Marrone that you would be up double digits on the Patriots at some point in this game and you got to rely on your defense to win for it, he would have took that 7 days a week, 365. Sure. Yep. I mean, and if I'm a Jaguars fan, I'm pissed off because it's supposed to be the strength of your team struggled the final 2 games of your regular season because they didn't play well in Pittsburgh. They're just fortunate that the offense was humming. And they didn't – I mean, they played okay against the Patriots, but, I mean, maybe we saw a wolf in sheep's clothing a little bit where they're beating up on the inferior teams, the defenses, putting up good numbers. When it comes to, taking on the big boys in the NFL, they're not ready to hang yet. But, I mean, it's good experience. You got to think they'll only improve, but that's tough when it's supposed to be your strength ends up being your weakness.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see because the previous year, they were one of the worst teams and came away with a little bit of an easier schedule. Typically, the top-end teams end up with a tougher schedule the next year. So that's why we see a lot of the Super Bowl fall-offs for teams that make it that far. And that's something that could happen with this Jacksonville team if they don't make some improvements here and they're not able to take advantage of somewhat of an easier schedule throughout the year. No disrespect to them at all. They definitely earned their position here as one of the top teams in the AFC. But it's always tougher coming back that next year trying to match what they did the past year.
And as far as the Patriots go, I thought the funniest thing about this game, it wasn't even the game, it was post-game. Did you happen to see the trophy celebration at all?
No, I didn't catch that at all.
So the trophy celebration, right, like the host of whoever the network is, it was Jim Nantz, I believe. He talks, he gives his little ramble, brings the owner up, he talks. It was Robert Kraft, he speaks. Presents him the trophy, then the owner passes it to the head coach. This, in turn, is Bill Belichick. He gets the trophy from Robert Kraft and doesn't even look at it, doesn't even acknowledge it, doesn't even raise it up to show the fans. He just passes it off to the next person. I mean, I think this was their 12th AFC Championship game under Bill Belichick, I think. This is just another day at the office for him. He doesn't care about AFC Championships. He wants that trophy next week. I just thought it was hilarious and such kind of a boss move by Belichick to just be like, yeah, this doesn't really mean a whole lot to me here. Give it to someone that is going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. That's very impressive to be able to have that attitude of they're just – and that's what he does. He doesn't get real emotional. He's just on to the next play, on to the next game, whatever it is to keep that dynasty moving forward.
Yep.
And I'm looking at it right now. Throughout their schedule this season, Jacksonville played 3 playoff teams out of their 16
there you go.
They had. So that's definitely going to be something that gets bumped up this next year. As well as within their own division, someone like Andrew Luck coming back could make things more difficult. The Tennessee Titans have a new coach now. If they can take a step forward and be even better, that could be challenging for them. And Houston, lost Deshaun Watson there, their number one quarterback. So if they can be improved too, makes it a tougher road for Jacksonville to repeat a season like this. But it was an enjoyable run for them. I'm sure the people of Jacksonville enjoyed it after many, many losing seasons. Huge respect to what they've been able to do.
No, absolutely. You're 100% right about that.
I'm curious, since we talked about this, do you think Jacksonville makes the playoffs next year?
No, I don't. I think the tougher schedule and the step forward that I think the division's going to take, it's funny you brought that up because you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same exact thing. The division's going to get – I mean, their division was a layup this year.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, Tennessee started off hot. They faltered down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two injuries at the quarterback position kind of took the Colts and the Texans out of things. I think that's going to be a really competitive division. I think they're going to beat up on each other. I think the schedule will be a lot tougher. Obviously, that goes without saying. And then you kind of have a question mark at the quarterback position. So I'm going to say no. I mean, this is a team that finished with at least the fifth worst record in football, like the last 8 years or something like that. So, I mean, no, I'm not ready to say that this is a perennial playoff team. No, they have to go out and show me. So I would say no, that they don't make the playoffs.
I'm in full agreement. I think the only way they do is if they win their division. I highly doubt the wild card teams will be as bad next year as they were this year. It was a struggle among the wild card teams, the last couple teams, specifically in the AFC. The NFC had a little bit of a better group there as the wild card teams. And I don't see anyone from this division making the wild card next year. I think whoever wins the division is going to be the only team in the playoffs. And for Jacksonville to do that, I think they have a good possibility, but I still have my doubts. I think one of the other teams can overtake them.
Absolutely. I'm in total agreement. They got to prove it. They got to go out and prove it, as they should. I mean, they've been a laughingstock for so long.
Thank you so much for listening to the Lifelong Rivals Sports Podcast. We really appreciate it. We've changed some things up based on some of the feedback we've received, so we'd love to continue hearing your feedback. As we continue to build this platform with our podcast, it's very helpful to us if you can share it with the people you know that you think would be interested. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a great week.